top 10 off-season moves. I ranked these. You guys are going to tell me why I'm wrong, why these don't make any sense in the order that I have them, but this is my ranking, and I'm going to explain why. And the first one, number 10, the biggest offseason, most impactful is how I did. Most impactful, and not just this year, just like most impactful for the life of the move that was made. The first one, DK Metcalf getting traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I did not have, to Kyle's chagrin, I don't have Aaron Rodgers going to the Pittsburgh Steelers because I'll be honest, I don't think it moves the need. Like they go 9-8, 10-7, 8-9. They don't. This doesn't impact the sort of NFL world much at all to me. The Steelers are the same Steelers we've seen the past few years. I don't think this moves them to AFC North contenders. I don't think this puts them into Super Bowl contenders. They just kind of are kicking the can down the road with that. Whereas the DK Metcalf, he at least gives you a solid number one for the next 4 seasons. That once Aaron Rodgers leaves, you become a little more attractive, as I choke here, to other quarterbacks around the NFL.
Yeah, you're choking. You left
Mike
Aaron
is
Rodgers
dying.
off the list.
We are losing 10. Mike.
Desmond Watson's coming to eat Mike. He's
We're back. Oh,
so my hesitation here, as far as being a top 10 impact moment, is the team loses George Pickens, and do they not just land a more refined version of George Pickens? Obviously, the quarterback situation is different, but you just mentioned Aaron Rodgers is not part of this. This is strictly about DK. Yeah. The criticism of DK are over his longer career are the same criticisms of George Pickens. There's really only 2 routes here. Really? There's a lot of distractions that come off the field on the sideline. So I would love to see DK thrive, but I need to see a more refined version of DK. I need to see better route running, because if we know one thing about Aaron Rodgers, he demands. He doesn't ask. He doesn't ask politely. He demands, and I would hate for that to cause friction in what could be a massive quarterback wide receiver duo.
Also, Jalen Ramsey and DK Metcalf. That's like must-see TV. You get an opportunity to watch a nice little battle there day to day. Look, this makes me happy for DK Metcalf, who, is widely unappreciated. I think, like so many West Coast guys. And Brock, you're from LA. You understand this. They're 3 hours, 4 hours behind us during football season. So a lot of people don't even get the pleasure of watching a guy like DK Metcalf. Everybody understands that there is a physical specimen that has played in Seattle for the last handful of years. Now they get to see him in the black and blue division. They get to see him with Aaron Rodgers. So many more eyeballs are going to be on DK Metcalf. And to your point, for the future of this franchise, whoever they bring in at quarterback after the octogenarian gets out of there, they're going to have an opportunity with DK Metcalf at receiver as a true number one. It's exciting. I'm glad it made the list, but at 10.5, I would have had Aaron Rodgers for this year.
All right. Yeah. I just, there's not a lot outside of this that I think was a massive. So some other ones I left off the list, like Justin Fields signing with the Jets, the Milton Williams signing with the Patriots, Joey Bosa to the Bills, like the Mika Fitzpatrick trade to the Dolphins, Sam Darnold to the Seahawks. Like those aren't moving the needle necessarily to me. This was like the last one where I could see DK at least leading the receiving core for 3 to 4 years. So in that sense, a big move to me. Let's get to number 9. I put the New England Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel at number 9 in this list. And just spoiler alert, this is the third. I have 2 other coaching hires above him, but to me, my third most impactful coaching hire. But the thing was, I think the Patriots, with where they were with the franchise quarterback, they were kind of always going to get their guy. They were always going to get a great head coaching candidate, just with the way that organization, how healthy that organization's been over the past 25 years with the franchise quarterback incoming there, all the cap space they had. It was always going to be a very attractive job. So you're always going to get a very good candidate. Mike Vrabel, obviously, I think slam dunk hire. I do worry about your OC being Josh McDaniels, but we'll see how it all works out in the end. So that's why I have them at number 9.
Guys, the Patriots might make the playoffs.
Actually, I think they will.
I'm pretty sure that they will. Right now, as I look across the AFC, I said, okay, everything goes perfect. everyone across every team remains healthy all year long. Perfect scenario. I have them as the first team out. So now we look at a situation where that's not how football works, right? People get hurt, people underperform and get benched. Crazy things happen and guys get suspended. Like, through the turmoil of the season, is it that shocking that a team that I have in front of New England right now just isn't there? It's not that shocking of a thing. I'm pretty sure that the Patriots are going to make it. To me, it just comes down to Travion Henderson and how quickly he can get going, because the pass game is going to be fine. The defense is going to be among the best. And like Mike said, most importantly, you have Mike Vrabel, the captain of your ship. Patriots to the playoffs. I love this.
Yeah, immediate shot in the arm to the football team. Obviously, Drake May is going to get better. They've been able to get a little bit older, a little bit more experience at the receiver position, but it's that defense that's going to be showing up like the cavalry, and I think it's going to be one of those tough teams. It's always in a one-score game, and if anybody watches the NFL nowadays, they understand that game management, clock management is at the utmost of importance, and I truly believe that because he played and now he's been coaching for so long, and this has been an important thing for him, being a Belichick disciple, Vrabel understands that and tips the scales in the way of the New England Patriots. And a lot of those one-score games become New England Patriot wins.
The Patriots, I cannot remember a team who had as much turnover year on year as this New England Patriots team. In terms of just like, they have legitimately have a chance to have over half of their starting spots from a season ago. So 12 by my count, depending on how the depth charts shake out. 12 new starters, 12 guys who came from either the draft, from other teams. So that is a completely new team. And then it's also kind of a completely new team because you have a quarterback going from year one to year two, which is historically, and just like everyone says, the biggest leap, the biggest year-on-year leap you'll see a quarterback take comes from year one to year two. So you have a completely new team around what could be a completely new quarterback with a completely new head coach. So if you're just basing this off of, what we saw last year from New England, it's like
could be the Commanders. They could be this year's Commanders.
Yes, it is a completely different look there in New England. All right, number 8. And I say this one's big because this is a team on the precipice of a Super Bowl. And they added one of the biggest pieces potentially to their team. It's Jaire Alexander getting signed by the Baltimore Ravens. I saw an incredible stat from Football Outsiders the other day that the Baltimore Ravens from 2021 through 2024 have the highest ever DVOA, which is Football Outsiders metric of how good a team has been. Highest ever DVOA for a team that hasn't won a Super Bowl over that span. 4 years, they have been a dominant offense, a dominant defense over the past 2 seasons, and they added to what was from weeks 11 through 18. They were the best secondary in the NFL in terms of results. Their pass defense compared to the second best pass defense in terms of EPA per dropback. The difference between number 1 and number 2 was the same difference as number 2 and number 13. And that week 11, why I say that is because that coincided with when Kyle Hamilton moved from the slot to deep. Humphrey went from outside to slot, and Nate Wiggins, your first rounder from last year, came into the outside. So you're keeping that setup. You're swapping Brandon Stevens for Jaire Alexander, and you're swapping Ardarius Washington for Malachi Starks, your first round pick. That is going to be, for my money, the best secondary in the NFL outside of Denver, who I think we all say is the best secondary in the NFL. But they're pretty damn close. And Jaire Alexander, he's been banged up, 361 snaps last year, 560 the year prior. If you just get him healthy, even just for the playoff run, they are as equipped as ever to win a Super Bowl this year.
I don't understand how you're supposed to attack this defense.
Yes.
What are you going to run the ball between B gaps? No. What are you going to try and beat Kyle Van Noy to the outside? No. You got Patrick. There's no weak point. As an offensive coordinator, you have to sit down and say, who can we attack? And you have to scratch your head because even the young guys, you could argue, are their best players. And Malachi Stark should be able to follow suit right in line. There is nothing you can do against this defense except hope that there's miscommunication, which, to be fair, the first month of the season last year, Zach Orr, first-time defensive coordinator, there were some communication issues. Assuming all of those are wiped away, assuming Kyle Hamilton is going to get Malachi Starks up to speed. That won't even be a thing this year. I love this move. Yes, it does come down to health, but the benefit is if there is a scenario where Jaire Alexander isn't feeling 100%, the defense is going to be fine. In Green Bay, they needed him. If Jaire Alexander didn't play, that secondary was toast. This is a situation where take a month off. We're going to be fine. We're going to win games. As long as he's ready to go by playoffs, it has to be Super Bowl or bust for Baltimore.
Yeah, this feels like when a Super Bowl caliber team makes a move that isn't necessarily going to be like, okay, this is our, this makes our team so much better. This is a move where it's like in crunch time, we're going to need it. And it's like adding a pass rusher. And there was a handful of rushers in like the 2010s that would just show up in playoffs in a different uniform every year. And you'd be like, oh my God, like they can still win. Well, this is, Jaire Alexander for them. And if they can get more during the regular season out of him, then that's the cherry on top. Look, Mike said it. This has been the best team in football for the most part for a number of years. And the fact that we haven't seen them in the Super Bowl or winning a Super Bowl, it's criminal. It's the reason why a couple of weeks ago I said, Mike, I think the Ravens are going to win the Super Bowl. I've ended the show a couple of times. I just want to get it out as many times as I can because they're building a bully. And Alexander walks into a locker room with not just a couple Pro Bowlers. He's in a defense that's like an all-pro defense. And there's guys at every level of this unit that's ready to go bully and punch people in the mouth. And that's the style of football you need to play in today's NFL.
Imagine being Roquan Smith and you have the secondary behind you and all you need to worry about is everything in front of you.
Just go shoot your gun.
It's going to affect every single facet of the game. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, to me, no one has more pressure right now than Baltimore to win Super Bowl this year. They just, not to say that that's like a thing that anyone even like cares, but this is it. This should be it. This is your best roster that you'll have. This is a team that, Lamar's in his prime. You have everything going for you. You have some free agents coming up after this year that'll start to get a little bit more expensive, but man, there is really no excuse. They just have to at least get to one this year. This is your time if you're the Baltimore Ravens, but AFC's tough. The AFC to getting through it is not going to be easy any year, and especially this year. All right, number 7. Another head coaching hire. I think the Jags hiring Liam Coen.
Duval.
Our GOAT to be their head coach because, and why I say this one over even the Patriots hiring Mike Vrabel is the Jaguars with their franchise dysfunction was not supposed to get the hot OC candidate. They just weren't, right? They're supposed to get the retread who maybe has a chance of like recapturing some old magic. They're supposed to get the guy who kind of is like the third picked over option, but they got the guy who had one of the hottest offenses in football last year, who dealt with numerous injuries at the wide receiver position, who turned a 4th round rookie running back into, a borderline all pro. That they got that guy. And so I think with Trevor Lawrence there, with the prince that was promised, this is the best situation he'll ever have. This is exactly what you wanted from the start of his career. Yes, you never gave it to him with the Urban Meyer saga and all the BS that went down. You finally gave it to him. You finally gave him the weapons. Now, will it work out? I mean, TBD, but I think this at least gives you the best opportunity you'll ever get with Trevor Lawrence to win a Super Bowl.
Sorry. Excuse my language. Hey, I'm sorry. I just said the F word. Can we pull that out, Harry?
Oh, God, did you?
I have strong feelings about this, but you go first, bro.
Okay, here we go. The secondary is obviously a concern. The linebacking unit took a step in the wrong direction, which is a concern. The pass rush is going to be fine. Obviously, there's the Travis Hunter excitement. Can Travis Etienne get back on track? But at the heart of this is Trevor Lawrence, right? The slew of injuries he's had over the past 2 seasons. And can he get back to the trajectory he was on in that second year of his career? What do? You hire a guy who was a huge part of the Baker Mayfield resurgence. Yes, Baker's first year in Tampa, things were going well, but what we saw last year was phenomenal. And I cannot fault any team for hiring a guy who brought the best version of Baker Mayfield that we have ever seen. And can he do that with Trevor Lawrence? Of course, the tools are there. It just has to happen. And I would argue that under coach Doug Peterson, they were their own worst enemy. So if you can just not hurt yourself and keep Trevor Lawrence healthy, You're surrounded with talent, and everything else will take care of itself. So I'm with you. It remains to be seen. Liam Coen, kind of the 1-year wonderkind right now, but you have to roll those dice on a guy who helped Tampa do exactly what you are attempting to do here.
One thing I loved about Liam Coen was his ability to look at the strengths of the guys in his offensive line room and figure out a way to develop and tailor-make a run game for your back, for your offensive line. I know everybody's excited about seeing Trevor Lawrence, and I am too. And he's got to stay healthy to have success, but he's got the weapons there. It's going to come down to this offensive line. And they've added guys in free agency, and they've got a couple of young players that they're invested in the draft. You got to gel quickly because none of that success that they had, I guess some of it with Baker Mayfield, but none of the success that they have happens without an offensive line that found a way to go kick ass. And Graham Barton did a great job. Tristan Wirfs did a great job. That unit in Tampa Bay is really, I would say, like a top 5 unit. I think we ranked it a couple of weeks ago. Are they able to become that in Jacksonville? That will determine the success of Liam Coen.
Well, I can tell you right now, they're not going to become that this year. They might have the worst interior offensive line in the NFL. That will be an issue and definitely going to be something worth monitoring. But this isn't just like a this year move. Right? You got a guy who's going to put the building blocks in place. And I think for the Jaguars, I've never been, at a time, I've never been more excited for the future of the franchise. Truthfully, that's like, this feels like they're finally moving in the right direction. All right, number 6, before we get to the top 5. This one, not really a move. It's just a couple extensions. The Bengals getting both T and Jamar Chase under contract for the next 4 years. Jamar Chase, 4 years, $161. T Higgins, 4 years, $115. And you have Joe Burrow, who's 28 years old, entering what has been historically kind of the window of where you're at your best at the quarterback position, that 28 to early 30s, where you're still physically in tip-top shape, where you've kind of mastered the mental area of the game, where that's where Peyton Manning was when he had that 49 touchdown season, set the record for passing touchdowns, where Aaron Rodgers was when he set the record for passer rating in a season, where Tom Brady was when he was at 30 when he set the record for passing touchdowns himself. So kind of the sweet spot for a career quarterback, you are giving him arguably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL over that entire span. And so if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, yeah, you have other issues, but you will always be in the mix if you have that trio of guys happy and healthy.
So we all know what Sunday scaries are, right? You can't fully enjoy your final day of the weekend because you know what's waiting, right? Once you go to bed, you have to wake up and you're right back at it. I have a version of that with Cincinnati. I can't fully get excited about a quarterback on a path to the Hall of Fame in Joe Burrow, a receiver on his path to the Hall of Fame in Jamar Chase, a receiver who's doing incredible things in T Higgins, because I know what that defense is, because I know that this team is going to sleepwalk through the first month of the season. And I would just be so upset if once again we are sitting here at the end of a season, the Bengals barely missed the playoffs because they sleptwalk, right? But what proof do we have that they're going to take the first part of the season seriously? What proof do we have that Al Golden is going to be able to turn around this defense when Shamar Stewart just put a helmet on and Trey Hendrickson isn't there, right? So it's yes, this deserves to be in the top 10. Mike, you're 100% correct in putting this in the list. There's just a little Sunday scary caveat of I can't fully enjoy this because I know what's on the other side of it.
Just because I'm a stickler and I looked ahead on your list, I would say invert 6 and 5. I'm just going to say that, invert 6 and 5, because this is the team in the Cincinnati Bengals that the 31 other teams do not want to see in the playoffs. They don't want to see him. They don't want to play Joe Burrow in the playoffs. Nobody wants to guard Jamar Chase. And let me just remind you, this guy T. Higgins is an absolute superstar.
Yes.
And when he's on the field for the Cincinnati Bengals, they're as dangerous as anybody as I can remember in recent memory. You talk about having the best combination at receiver, it's incredible. And the other guys that you named at this point in their career age-wise, it's a great list to be named with. So for the Bengals to retain that trio and still have other guys on the offense who are dangerous and can make explosive plays, this is great. It's the next 4 years. You know you're in the hunt. You've always got a shot.